Well, hello and welcome to the penultimate episode of our retrospective on I'll try not to swear, all the movies that Joe D'Amato made across his long and fairly sweaty career. So we're into the last seven films. We've broken this up, so we're not dealing with the massive glut of hardcore that he's also doing at this time. We're kind of cherry picking for the most part, with the exception of one of the films, because we couldn't find the softcore version. So we're cherry picking the softcore films from the last bunch of years of his career.
Well, hang on. You make that sound, if we're
Hmm.
cherry picking, as if we're
Oh,
not
sorry.
watching everything.
No, this is true. Yeah, no. So cherry. Yeah, maybe that's the wrong.
This is the
Yes.
opposite of cherry picking.
Yeah. I don't even know what that
Someone's,
would be.
someone's stolen our
Peak
cherry picking
plucking.
machine, so we have to climb the trees by hand.
Right.
And
Yes.
yeah,
Um, yeah, no, yeah. So this is. So I should say this is the smattering of softcore films amongst the massive glut of hardcore that he makes before he shuffles off this mortal coil. Um,
we'll come back to them later, after a little break and wound licking, but we'll announce that at the end, I suppose.
yes,
And who
yes.
are we? Who are we, Nick?
Oh, I honestly at this point don't actually know anymore.
Okay, so
Uh,
Anonymous 1,
yep.
Anon 2. Do you have a name up there in the corner? That's you, Gav.
Oh, right, sorry, you. Yeah, me, Gavin again.
I love how even the other person in the show just glazes over when we talk and doesn't listen.
Um, all right, so yes, so we're talking a bunch of pretty awful films this time. I mean, really, these last few episodes have been increasingly hard going for me. I don't know about for the rest of you, but I
I mean,
feel like
they at
Joe's
least have
Joe's
a
heart
sort.
and soul is not in here anymore.
They no, it's true, but they do at least have a sort of. I mean, a few episodes there seemed as if it was basically one long director's cut of the same film, right? That just switched
Yes.
locations. At least there's a kind of variety. I mean, it's different
Yes.
variety, it's different shades of brown, but it is a kind of
Hmm.
variety, right? Um,
Yes, I guess so. Um, but I definitely struggled. I struggled, yeah, with more than one of these where I said, for God's sakes, Joe, try. Please, please try. But anyway, so what's up first here? Anon 2. Um,
well, well, it seems as if we've made a mistake because this is not a Joe D'Amato film. This is directed by one Chang Lee Sun in
ah,
1994.
okay.
Chinese
Written by Fu Chun, I see.
Fuchun, yeah, Chinese Kamasutra.
Hmm. Not
Uh,
to be mistaken for Kamasutra, which we'll be getting to later in this very episode.
yes, yes. So this is another one of D'Amato's attempts to disguise the Philippines
Hmm.
as well. Later on, he tries to disguise it as Indonesia,
Yep.
but this time he's trying to disguise it for China again. And Mark Gonzalez from that film, China and Sex, appears in this one as well.
Mhm.
This one stars one Georgia Emerald, or Emerald, I guess. I don't know why I was saying it like that. Uh, that's how they speak in China, you see.
I see.
In her only known film, which is a bit of
Okay.
a shame because,
Yep.
yeah, she looks pretty good. This
Yeah.
this woman, and she takes her clothes off a lot, which is also very good because, yeah, what is that for? It sounds negative, but built like a brick shit house, I believe, is a positive phase, right? We live.
Well, for Joe D'Amato, anyway.
Yeah, or shit brick house, which that does sound dodgy.
No, don't make your house out of shit bricks. That's the fourth little
Yeah,
pig.
get
Uh,
good bricks.
yeah.
If you're looking around and you go to a company that's called Shit Bricks to get your bricks, no, go across the road to
Oh,
good.
I have to. I just assumed that these were bricks literally baked from shit. But I get what you're saying. This is more
Yeah.
you mean a poor quality brick.
Mind in the gut is always there, Dick.
Okay.
So
Um,
yeah, so she's a librarian in the southern province of China.
mm,
So this is the straight out the gate I'm learning. So all my life I was led to believe that the Kamasutra was of Indian.
you would think.
Yes, but no. Apparently it's Chinese.
Definitely Chinese because in both of Joe D'Amaro's films about the Kama Sutra, it's clearly established as being a Chinese text.
Yeah, because it's got them drawings as well, isn't it?
Yep, yep.
Both drawings in both same drawings in both films, right? So I'm guessing they must have been around. Although the other Kama Sutra doesn't actually seem to have fuck all to do with the Kama Sutra, as far as I can.
Yes.
Yeah, at least this one does kind of reference it, at least.
Yes.
Anyway, she finds the Chinese Kama Sutra in her library, kind of gets obsessed with it, sits at home flicking the bean.
Yeah, I
Even
assume this is the Abdul al-Hazred version of the Kama Sutra because it seems
yes,
much more Necronomicon-y in its effects than you would expect the Kama Sutra to be.
yeah, and her co-worker Marcos Alves is trying to get her to go out. They go to the cinema at one point and watch a hilarious Chinese film. It seems they have a good old
Hmm.
time with that. Um, and then it turns out, but she's happy at home with her book. But then someone starts creeping around from the neighboring haunted house, right? I
Yes.
think I think this is Leo Gamboa is the actor, and she ends up eventually going into his house, and he's there, kind of in the lotus position with his turban on, and he seems to be some sort of sorcerer or
Yeah.
what the fuck he is, to be honest with you.
He had really strong vibes of one of the actors who played Tyrant John, whatever his name was, from those Korean films about the. Do you remember?
No,
We watched Clive, you and I watched a bunch of films about a Korean tyrant from the
no, we didn't. Fake news.
we definitely did, and this guy had the same kind of Kanye West vibes as one of the actors who played the character in those films. Anyway,
What reminded me of me, not to tell tales out of school, but I remember the one time I went round to Gav's house and crept in. He was sat in exactly the same position with the same turban. Yeah,
ah,
yeah.
I see.
uh,
He puts the
But
berry on, the cap on for the show, but normally
mm,
it's the turban and the.
I hope to God he didn't also have a dick-shaped yellow candle, presumably made of his own smegma, which is what I assumed that this guy's was. Um, but yeah, so yeah, she somehow. How does she end up at his place anyway? Does he
She
abduct her?
sneaks in, I think, because she sneaks in.
Oh, she sneaks into the. Okay,
Yeah,
because like
yeah,
yeah, because she gets this vibe that maybe he's peeping on her or something like that, right?
yeah. That's right. Yeah, which is
Okay.
what I just said. Yeah, um, and um, and then it turns out that she's a reincarnation, and the fellow scholar who fancies her, they used to be lovers many years ago in some sort of repressive society where they're on the run or
Yeah,
something.
and they have to jump to their own deaths repeatedly. This
Yeah,
piece of
double suicides. Yeah,
piece of
and
footage of them running away in slow motion is used several
but
times.
not before she's on an altar with some like men poking her with dildos. Which is
Yeah,
quite a funny. I mean, sometimes they insert that makes sense, but sometimes they just
no,
poke her in the head of the body with these.
Systematic,
Yeah,
so
yeah, like a dagger, which is
no,
kind
yeah.
of, huh?
I thought they were trying to recreate the Julius Caesar scene from yeah from
Right.
Shakespeare. There was something very like A2
Yeah.
about the whole.
Um. Yes, and then what else? I'm. Oh yeah, there's a like a weird like a synth like fake pan pipe or something type score, which to me always sounded like it almost was about to turn into Love Will Tear Us Apart again. Like it's got the similar chord progression, like
Mhm.
it goes, and then just goes. Oh, I always like, oh, here we go.
He left you with blue balls for
Yes.
Love Will Tear Us Apart. Hmm.
it doesn't quite go there. The
So
best
basically,
character by far in the film is
mhm,
a cackling old woman who at one point answers the door and says, what she says something like, oh yeah, she's the woman who runs the boarding house that the Georgia Emerald is staying at. And
mhm.
someone, and she's like, oh yes, I've been keeping an eye on her, and I'm quite curious. And she starts cackling. She was good. I enjoyed her, but she's only on screen for about 30 seconds or something.
Mhm.
Um,
I find
yes,
it baffling where when you start getting all these flashbacks to her past life, when it immediately tells you how that story ends by showing them, jump into their death, and then it sort of seems pointless keep going back to that when you know it ends.
Yeah, it felt like it was also just there for padding, like to make out the 90 minutes. Like, oh, let's just show that footage again. Yeah, yeah.
to be fair though, of this bunch, I mean, it's very slow, but it's kind of it's not terrible. It's okay, and it does have a slightly dreamy kind of atmosphere to it. Um, and thank God there's at least one record of Giorgio Emerald taking her clothes off. Because yeah, she's quite a fine looking woman, didn't you think? Uh,
Yeah, never anything else though, as far as you know.
no, apparently and sadly not. Because yeah, she's yeah held my attention at least for 90 minutes. I think without her, it would
Yes.
be a much less interesting film. So that's yeah, so yeah, of course it's a kind of subjective, right? Because if you're not into her, then I would imagine this film would be a lot more
It's going to be like Top Girl then,
boring.
maybe, which we'll get to later on. I will say that there's also a scene where she's served a salad with a cock carrot in it, um, which you may or may not remember that she nibbles on. And then
My,
what?
my
What do we
speciality when I'm doing nibbles.
what do we make of the ending? Because it appears as though like so she's abducted or whatever. She goes into this house. She's sort of abducted by this ghost figure of a guy who claims to have been her lover in a past life. Then there's all this weird dildo magic, and at points he vanishes and reappears and does all of like he can teleport and stuff. And then near the end, her kind of friend-zoned pal who's been like wandering around trying to find her goes out drinking with some old guy who seems to be the same actor who's playing the guy in
Yes,
the house.
Leo Gamboa, yeah.
Yeah, who tells him like, "Oh, buddy, you need to just grab life by the balls. Like, you need to like man up and like." Yeah, and he's like, "All right," and then he goes to her house, and she's suddenly back there,
Mm.
and he, "Let's go on a date," and like that's like the end of like what, what, what the fuck happened? Like, it's confusing at best.
Metaphor, no?
I guess. Sure.
But also,
Um,
I mean, I could never quite get my head around the fact if they're reincarnations of ancient lovers, but are they reincarnations of Chinese lovers? Because they both still don't look particularly Chinese, especially her.
yes,
And
especially the European
he
girl.
looks
Yeah.
suspiciously Filipino to me as well.
Mhm.
So I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Confusing. I did quite like the totally inappropriate end credit music that sounded like it came from Blade Runner or somewhere entirely else. It was like a pounding synth score that was just totally inappropriate to everything that had gone before. So
it
thumbs up for that,
and
Joe.
it doesn't cock tease you with love will tear us apart again either.
No, no.
So yes. Yeah, so well for me I thought it was, it's okay. I mean, we've seen much worse.
Yes.
It's a few
Yes, we have.
to get from this bunch, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, oh there we go. We all seem to be kind of on the same page there then. And yeah, if
It might
anyone
be the best of yeah, it might be the best. Although I have
anyone
a weirdly soft spot for provocation. I don't know why.
if anyone out there digs up any more Giorgio Emerald bits and pieces, if she was ever in a loop with a giant King Kong cock or anything like that, let us know
Hmm.
through the usual channels. So, lads, it's time to enter the Labyrinth of Love.
Mm. Or of the senses, depending on which translation, I guess, of the title you have. Um, yes. Okay. So, who wants to talk about what this one is about?
Nicely dodged.
Well, no, I'm okay. This is the French made one, right? This is the
Yes. Yes.
so there's basically I can do this, I think. So there's
Easy win. Yeah.
a youngish French maid is sent to a Dutch house in Indonesia.
Young-ish.
Well, she's young.
Okay.
She's not, Anyway,
No, it was just an interesting
I know she's
as if you had a
not
problem
16.
with the fact that
No,
she
no,
was all right, okay.
she's not 16. She's looks to be in her 20s. Anyway, she's sent to this Dutch house in Indonesia,
Oh, there's a
and
word for that, Nick. Sorry to interrupt you. Youngish, you could say.
yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So basically, it's like, what if Mary Poppins used a spoonful of pussy to solve everyone's problems rather than, whatever Mary Poppins uses, her umbrella or whatever. Because pretty much she comes into this house.
Can I just say that was pretty classy? That was.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. So what we have is
Is
Dad.
Emma Thompson going to be playing her in the?
I hope so in the remake. But yeah, so there's a granddad in the house who's kind of a vaguely Jeremy Irons type.
Good old Mike Monty, right? Who was in American who relocated first to Italy and then the Philippines. So he's in like shitloads of.
Oh, okay.
Was he not familiar to you?
No, no. Funny enough, not.
Clearly, you haven't been watching enough made in Filipino trash. Mike
I'm
Monty
guessing
is
not.
like, I'm sure Gav was familiar with the face of Mike Monty.
The name was familiar. I couldn't really place a face too much. But yeah.
Right. Well, now you know he's him. He's him. He's the slightly snooty patriarch of the family, isn't he? Who doesn't like French.
Sort of think he's French, yeah. They're anti-French.
Right.
Yeah. And he also has this really horrible eye where because he's admiring her for like being, somewhat sophisticated or whatever, and he talks about the other home help. They all reek of like sweat and labor. Like it's the real piece of shit at that point you discover, right? Yeah.
But is that his? Because doesn't he seems to have a British accent? Is that has he been dubbed by somebody else here?
I think
or
it sounds like it. I don't know. I mean, I've seen him in loads of films, but because of the films he's in, I'm not sure if I've ever heard his
actual voice?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because he definitely doesn't sound American to me.
No, you've got to mention as well that she's played by Monica Carpenese, right?
Yeah, she's I thought smoking hot.
And youngish, I would say as well.
And quite youngish and smoking hot.
She also reminded me. She reminded me throughout of someone else, and I could never quite put my finger. The closest I got, and I don't think this is who I was thinking of, and I might be in my mind thinking of a composite, but the closest I got was Anna Paquin, if you remember her.
Oh yeah.
She's a little bit like Anna Paquin.
But basically, so the family's all fucked up. The granddad hates everyone, as we talked about. Apparently, everyone in the world, including his own
French, especially
the French. Him and his son don't seem to have been speaking for years. The son, who's again like a middle-aged man, we should say,
not youngish.
Yeah, not young,
oldish,
oldish for sure.
Like us.
Him and his wife seem to be kind of like she's a bit frigid and they're not, things
This is Laura Luna from China and Sex, right?
Yes, yeah. And then their son is kind of involved in this sort of quasi homosexual relationship with this buddy of his, right? But he's kind of like constantly being cuckolded in a way because this guy is. Those scenes are so strange where his friend is making out with a girl and he'll come over and kind of sadly, tearfully touch him on the back as humps some girl, and then so awkward and weird.
Well, what's strange about how that works out as well, because yes, as you're about to say, sorry to step on you, but she basically kind of seduces everyone in the family and makes everything better, right? Like, but the stuff with the son stuff is really weird because on the one hand, she teaches him to kind of stand up for himself and not be taken advantage of by this guy, which
Mhm.
is good. But then on
Mhm.
the other hand, there's also the influence that she's kind of cured him of
Yeah,
being
yeah, of
gay,
his
right?
gayness, definitely
That's slightly more kind of dodgy.
problematic.
And
Yeah.
then she married his grandfather, so the woman he's been having sex with now he has to regard as his grandmother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he's certainly gonna not want any sweets or anything as blackmail to go around Granny's house, I think.
Um,
Yes, and yeah, that seduces Laura Luna as well. Um, yeah, it's kind of a yeah, it is. You're quite right. I didn't think of the Mary Poppins, but it is basically an erotic Mary Poppins where
mhm.
it's one of a few of these kind of films, I suppose, one of the few D'Amato erotica films which doesn't end in tragedy at all. It's like actually,
Yeah,
oh, that's good. It's
kind
like,
of feel good. Yeah,
yeah,
weird.
because
Yeah.
that's not what you expect. Usually, when it's one of these Theorama style
Hmm.
stories where a stranger comes in and manipulates the family, it rarely ends well, right?
Yes.
So I
Hmm.
suppose, as looking for the good in everything, if you can, I suppose that's different, I guess.
Right.
And you seem to quite like Monica Capanese, so
I thought she was great. I also enjoyed the incredibly badly choreographed fight scene between the grandson and his quasi lover. You remember out on the lawn where they have like
right.
a really crap kung fu fight. Uh,
Yes. We should mention as well that this is set in Indonesia, although according to the IMDb, it's Vietnam,
okay.
but it's actually the Philippines. Well, it's clearly, but again, this is one that you don't. It's not like one of the films. I can't remember which one. One of these ones set in China. There was like a scene where they're clearly riding around in like Manila on a jeepney or something like that. At least
Right.
this one is just interiors, right? So
Yes.
it's a bit easier to it could be, anywhere, right? Vaguely tropical. But it did make me laugh when the housekeeper is first introducing the French maid to the house and she's talking about it, and she says, and I quote, they are an ordinary family considering they are Oriental.
Yeah. Um, did anyone else notice that there was like levels of ad-libbing in this dub that were like Mad Fox's weird? Like there was parts where I just really strange, hilariously off-putting like
Yes,
dialogue.
Nick, it did
It's just like
become noticeable to
But
me
not just the
today.
delivery, but not just the
Yeah,
delivery. The
right.
way that the way
Yes,
that in
yes.
Mad Foxes people will be like, no, you drink. No, no, he has a drink. Let's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They're
there
just
were
like
a few bits.
they're making filling
Yes,
space.
yes, yes. The dubbing team are floundering, right? Like,
Right.
yes, I will have a drink. Oh, why don't you have a drink then? Yes, I think I will have a drink. I'll be having a drink. Hey, you're certainly having that drink right now. So, yes, yeah, yeah. There was a bit of that. Yeah, which is always fun.
Yes. Anything to add to this one, Gab? I think I'm kind of done.
no, no, no. I'm all done with it. Yeah. No, no, not bad, but I've had the standards of this bunch. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Again, gently not shit, I suppose, is yeah. So far, you're doing well, Joe, for this episode.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yes, so
yeah.
far.
So, apparently, Nick's got a soft spot for this one. So, you take it away for
Oh,
Provocation
oh,
from
provocation, yes.
1995.
Yeah. I think I might have my notes in the wrong order for this. Just give me one second.
Should mention as well, I think for pretty much almost all of these, it's Joe D'Amato behind the camera again as Federico Slonisco. And he seems to have even lost his shooting chops a little bit, right? A lot of these don't look very.
Yeah.
They look a bit flat. I mean, it's a bit unfair. Maybe we're watching SD. Maybe Labyrinth and Chinese might look all right, but some of the other ones just look really
Some of the
flat.
later ones. This
But
one
that
actually
could be
looks
the
all right too.
technology as well.
Particularly the American one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. this one looks okay, but some of the later ones also have scenes that clearly are shot on video in them, which is also weird.
Yeah,
Um,
Joe D'Amato never, he didn't. He was just trying to do cinema with a. He didn't go the like. He didn't learn how to use video in the way like Lars von Trier
yeah,
does, right?
yeah. So here's my take on Provocation. I think this is a remake of Fawlty Towers.
Okay.
So Sybil basically is like a lazy slut who takes naps all day and jills off at work, right? This is the wife character. We've got Basil. This is played by a guy called Carlo, who is constantly angry and frustrated at his gormless.
You've done
I
it
don't
again. You're quite right. This is Fawlty Towers. I'm just
Is he
writing
a
it down.
nephew? Anyway, Manuel is like is like the peeping nephew or whatever he
Joe
is, right?
D'Amato redoes the 1989 Christmas Day lineup on BBC One. Mary Poppins, followed by Fawlty Towers Christmas special.
And then you get there's like a hot kind of like Druna ass looking cousin.
Yes,
And
Fabricia Flanders. I get so considering we haven't mentioned this yet, but when we get to it, there's quite a few actresses in some of these films that were clearly Tinto Brass finds.
yes,
For instance,
each
the
one.
wife in this, Arika Savastani, is in some Tinto Brass films, and Fabricia Flanders, Tinto Mr. Trick there. She should be in
Yeah,
a Tinto Brass film.
yeah.
She
That's
has the Tinto Brass ass,
yes.
which is on display quite a lot, which is a good thing. One of the
Yeah.
highlights of
No,
the film.
I didn't use the term. I didn't say Druna by accident. I mean,
No, 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 no. Druna being a synonym for spankable, basically. Yeah.
right. Um. So yeah. And so basically, this is yeah. There's the scenes, and this may be because I'm an Irishman. But the scenes of her sitting down with her legs akimbo, peeling potatoes.
Ah,
Uh, Holy shit!
you almost spilled your Guinness, didn't you?
I I did indeed. I did indeed. Jesus, Mary, and Holy Saint Joseph, says I.
I'm going
Yeah.
out for a bit of a walk.
Careful now. Um, yeah, no.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, no. Anyway,
Yes.
yeah. So,
So,
but also,
before you jump into the Fawlty Towers thing,
yeah.
so you don't confuse people, we should
Hmm.
actually say what it's a like a rural tavern that they're running,
Yes.
right? Yes.
And maybe the
cousin-
1930s, maybe the 1930s or
Maybe,
40s. It's
yeah.
hard to tell.
But there's none of the sometimes in these, I can't remember what we were talking about before, maybe earlier, there's none of the slight anti-fascist
No,
satire or anything here.
no, no.
No, that's been
No.
replaced by an ass.
Ah.
Yeah. Which is, fine. Ass,
Yeah.
satire. I'm ready for both depending on my mood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and basically, so it's everyone's kind of sleeping with everyone. The gormless nephew who's useless spends a lot of time upstairs peeping at anyone who's having sex, basically.
Right.
And Carlo gets cuckolded, right?
Yes, by the slightly Roddy McDowell lookalike guy.
Yes.
The rich kind of local landowner or something. Who is a bit of an anachronism, he seems, but he does drive old. That's the thing. It's old cars.
Yeah.
But they're called old cars, so they're already old. So I don't know what the time period.
The 50s, maybe? Hard,
And there's an odd line as well, like you were talking about lines of. So at some point, Carlo says, "Johnny, I'm going to kick your ass off." I've never heard anyone say, "I'm going to kick your ass off" before.
No. What? Yeah.
I suppose this is another one with a relatively happy ending as well for most of the characters. But
apart from Carlo's sobbing in the tree, yeah,
it's an alcoholic.
but no. Once again, I mean, nice ass.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, I think that's probably the main reason why I found this one of the most enjoyable for me was because I was really excited about watching her peel that potato.
Yeah, that would certainly work as a pen holder.
Also, yes, yeah, definitely. Um,
Anything other than nice ass? Let's see. Anyone got
I don't
anything
think
else?
so. I mean, I said it wasn't actually of all of them. It was kind of bucolic. The landscape was nicely filmed. It was. I thought it was one of the better filmed and one of the better looking, in terms of lighting, in terms of cinematography of this last gasp of
You
Joe.
say all that, but what I heard was
Nice
nice
ass.
ass. Yeah.
Well, it's implied. It's implied.
The ass
Yeah.
is implied. It's in plain view. Thank fuck for that. Yeah, not. I would imagine because it feels as if there was a bunch of people turned up in Tinto Brass films, and then Joe says, "Hey Tinto, can you give me?" And then if Tinto ever found out that Joe had put this woman in his movie and didn't tell him, his cigar would have fallen out of his mouth. Joe, you motherfucker! Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So there we go. I believe is that all we have to say about provocation?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I'm good. Like with all these things, I suppose your mileage will vary, but I think most people would get behind Fabrizia Flanders. Um,
Yes. Yes, indeed.
all right. So
So,
now we're into what gets increasingly difficult and painful, I
by the way,
suspect.
sorry, worth mentioning as well, if you haven't seen them yet, get your hands on the recent Blu-ray releases of Faulty Towers, because they have the uncut European versions, which have those scenes of Manuel jacking off in the attic while
Ah,
yeah,
looking through the peephole.
yeah,
Yes. Excellent. Um,
before John Cleese threatens to kick his ass off. So
um,
yeah, so anyway,
what's
so
up next, then,
this one,
Clive?
so the thing with this, at least the version
Ah,
we saw,
yes.
belongs in our
Other show.
hardcore special, right? But
Yes.
I believe
Only version we could
Kamasutra
find.
was presented as a triple X version and a softcore version.
Yeah, and I've read, according to, well, I don't know what I've read, that the softcore version is significantly different.
It
The latter
must be because
half.
this is just wall to wall sex, right? It must,
Yes.
and it might even have something to do with the Kama Sutra because this one fucking doesn't. Um, so anyway, but we couldn't find a copy of the softcore one, so
No.
we just watched the hardcore one. And I mean, apart from it has those same erotic drawings that at the beginning of Chinese Kama Sutra. I mean, I have nothing to say about it because it is just a hardcore wall-to-wall sex film, and that's it. And I'm done. So the stage is yours, lads. Did you find anything other than that in this? Because
Nothing much. I mean, they look like it's filmed in like different formats. Like some things seem to be shot on video, and
yes.
probably seen that slightly better shot on film. I thought.
Oh,
But
and
yeah,
it's that dude in the monster mask, right?
the monster mash.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about the only thing you can remember of this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Oh, here we
I
go.
have a few.
Nick's gonna say it's the porn version
I sadly don't
of
have. I don't.
oh
No, I wish I did, but no, I do like the fact that
a few good men or something.
the tagline for this thing is "Ancient Oriental secrets are revealed for the first time."
Wow, sounds pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I didn't see any, but
No, no, no. They were revealed very, I mean, low in a low-key fashion.
I think so. Um, yeah, here's my notes. Kelly Trump, who I can only assume is a part of the first family, right? Or at the very least, I'm sure that the Dawn had knocked one or two out to her, just by virtue of the fact that she shares the name. And he has a thing, as we know, for blonde, porn stars. But anyway, I said she looks a bit like Taylor Swift from certain angles, so that's a bonus for Swifties. So all you Swifties out there, you
Put
may need to check
Kamasutra
out.
on your, yeah.
You may put that on your watch list. Yeah. Um, yeah.
If just one, if just one Taylor Swift fan is converted, then our job here is done.
Um, Yeah, actually, I realized I have virtually no notes on this. Dude in rubber Halloween killer clown version of a Japanese Oni mask keeps invading Kelly's personal space and vagina. And then my only other note says, at one point she uses a blush brush to brush her bush, which I'm going to patent as a tongue twister under
Right.
my name.
Yeah, it's your first limerick. Congratulations.
Hmm. Oh, but hang on. I do have a much better review that somebody else wrote. Sadly, it's not.
Oh,
It's sadly not a Ferdman,
oh no.
but it's somebody else who seems like they're from another part of the world.
Just stop teasing us, by the way, before you get. Is there some reviews from him coming up at all in this show?
I don't think so, sadly.
Oh,
I
promised
apologize.
us, Nick. You promised us
You
last
didn't make it this far.
Um, hang on. Where is the rest of this review? Sorry.
It still makes me laugh that you have typewritten notes,
Pages of them as well. Yes.
mimeographed.
Oh yes. Here we go. This is a review from IMDb. Um, I'm not going to do. I suspect from the person's name that they're probably from the Indian subcontinent, and
Oh,
as
go
an
on. You know you want
I
to.
am definitely not
Well,
going
see,
to
no,
attempt
so this is
that.
interesting. This is interesting, though.
I'm fully comfortable doing.
It's perfectly acceptable for you to do cod Soviet accent.
Oh yes,
figure.
absolutely, because we're all Caucasians, right?
I see.
So
Go on.
so no, absolutely not. Wow, Kelly Trump is too much. I have seen this movie for about 25 times till now on FreeX TV, and I still love to see more. Kelly Trump is too sexy. Her body, her face, and her expressions takes you to a new high. As mentioned in another review, this Kamasutra is not filmed in India, nor are any Indian babes are acting in it, nor has it got any Indian connection. All in all, though, one of my fave porn movie involving Kelly Trump. Her fantasies are superb, especially of the masked man. Her voyeur tendencies make this movie more enjoyable. Watch it with your friends. And a good movie during Saturday night along with your wife. She will like it too.
So interesting. He seems to be from the same part of the world as the other reviewer.
I suspect so.
Yeah.
I suspect so.
I don't know where that is. It's somewhere between
sure.
like Poland and County Down.
Maybe.
Every now and again, but yeah.
Anyway, so that's pretty good. Thanks to that reviewer.
Well, it's good advice. I mean, it is Saturday, coming up on us. So,
Nope.
yeah,
Watch
maybe
it with
we
your loved
will be
ones,
watching it
friend.
with our wives. No, good advice there from whoever. What was the? He was a name.
I can't remember the name, but I'm
okay.
sure if you look. Oh, hang on. Here, I have the page open.
Oh, great.
I will let you know.
We should give credit to where credit's due.
Yeah. Hang on. Let me open up there are the stellar number of 2 user reviews for this. This was Surya Prakash. So
Okay, thanks,
Surya
Surya
Prakash.
Prakash.
Yep.
Anything else about Kamasutra?
I think
I
not.
wonder what his friends made of it.
Yeah, me too.
And his wife.
Yeah, I mean, considering he's made 2, if you watch both Chinese Kamasutra and Kamasutra, it's amazing. You learn fuck all about the Kamasutra.
Or China, for that matter.
Right. So that brings us to the rather oddly. Could anyone else figure out why this film is called The Hyena? Because it is called the original Italian as La Hyena, right? Or AKA Fatal Seduction from 1997. Why is it the Hyena? Did anyone laugh?
I mean, like they're like they're like a scavenger animal, right? They're like they prey off of. So I mean, in a way, he's preying off.
See, as soon as I hear Hyena, I just think of laughter.
Okay.
And humor. Because think of all the great Hyena stand-up comedians you love. So obviously you think of laughter, right?
Yes. The only actor who springs to mind when you say Hyena is didn't Cheech Marin play the one in The Lion King, like Disney's the original animated version? I'm pretty sure.
I have no idea.
Fairly certain that was Cheech Marin. Anyway,
Did he? Oh, yeah, I remember. He has that when he goes on about if you find any better lion pussy anywhere, fuck it. Right?
That's the one.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah.
scene, yep. Um,
The pussy.
okay. So, Gav, do you want to tell us all about what Hyena is about?
I can't remember. All I remember about this one is like some really bad scenes of people playing snooker. We don't even know what they're doing. Remember?
Yes.
I'm so bored with the film. It's like noise in the background. They're like playing snooker. I don't know much about snooker, but I think you hit the white ball to knock the other ball, and then but in the background it's like hitting out random any sort of balls anywhere. Yeah, somehow someone kidnaps a woman, holds a woman at gunpoint.
That's
Yeah,
the one. That's the one.
vaguely coming back to me
You're
now.
on the right film. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, got the right film at least. But
Yes. So this
yeah,
is, what's her name? Cinzia Roccaforte or Rocafort. Who was in a Tinto Brass. She's in P.O. Box Tinto Brass.
Oh, yes.
Um, the other thing I noticed about her that was interesting, and I haven't had a chance to track this down, but she's in. So, do you remember in the Ed Wood films, Paul Marco plays Kelton the cop, right? And basically, because of the Ed Wood fandom, he ended up playing a cop called Kelton in a whole bunch of
Okay.
low budget films ever since, right? But then, like, there seems to be a Russian composer who was working in the Russian film industry. I didn't write the name down. And at some point, he must have moved to the United States or something. And he made the Kelton the Cop trilogy of short films with Paul Marco. And then he did another fourth one after Paul Marco died, using archive footage of him, I guess, as a tribute to Bela Lugosi and Plan 9. I don't know.
Hmm.
But anyway, Cinzia Roccaforte is in all these weird Kelton the Cop films as well. So I don't know what the connection there is or if these films are readily available. But for some unfathomably ridiculous reason, I'm really jonesing to see these Kelton the Cop films. I just thought that was an interesting connection.
Are they easily findable?
I don't know. I haven't had a chance to
I can take a look on
right
the
on
usual places.
perfectlylegal.com.
Legal.com. Yes,
Right.
that's the one.
Yeah, so her husband is played by Jason Saucier, who we've seen in other
Oh, yes.
Joe D'Amato films.
And or Umberto Lenzi. He seemed to be very much
Yes,
a Film Mirage mainstay for some reason.
and he's having an affair with Tori Sinclair, who was a adult performer, fetish video, and fantasy wrestler, apparently, whatever a fantasy wrestler is. So he's having an affair with her. They seem to be, it's LA again, right? It's Venice Beach, I think, because they wander about Venice Beach and go to a fortune teller at one point.
Yeah. Yeah. Although the accents in this are all over the
Man,
place.
I don't know if they're supposed to be from the United States because they refer to, oh, this is my cousin from Las Vegas. And then he's like, hello there, I am from Las Vegas and I come to visit. It's quite surreal.
Yeah. It gets to the room levels of like hard to follow what people are trying to say to each other.
Yes, Cinzia Roccaforte, I'm not quite sure. I'm assuming she must be Italian, but
Yes.
if she's into Dobras's films, but
And the dude who
anyway,
the house invader is French, right?
yes, that's the screenwriter. Oh, one of them, David De Ingio, right? He's one of the writers.
Right.
So he's also
One of the five screenwriters.
yes, yes. Well, four
Right.
actually. That person who wrote that IMDb reviews
Oh,
includes the subtitle for some reason. Yeah.
oh, they invented one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do like the fact that there's a Harry J. Ball and a Dennis J. Ball. So Harry Ball and Dennis Ball.
This is Remo Angioli and Andrea Angioli, right?
Those are some great
The J Ball dynasty.
yes.
Yeah, so it's Ingio
Ball
breaks
start
into
as well.
yeah. He breaks into her house, takes her at gunpoint, and says, "Oh, I have your sister."
Hmm.
and you have to pay money, but the bank isn't open until he hasn't
Yes, on Monday.
been, has he? So he has to hold her hostage, and they have an affair in the meanwhile, and then some party guests turn up, which
It
and
should be
play
mentioned that he
snooker
shoots.
badly as
Yeah, but he does. Sorry, the first thing he does when he walks in the house is he shoots the maid in the head and then stuffs her in a big fridge, and
yeah. There's a few
it kind of
brilliant.
throws into
Yeah,
question the fact that she keeps sleeping with him
yeah,
multiple times across the film, and even opens up the fridge one time. It's like, oh God,
yeah.
he is murdered, and then goes back and has sex with him.
There's a whole bunch of stuff like the people turning up for the party, the freeze. I think they're supposed to ratchet up the tension, but they weirdly have exactly the opposite of there's no tension in the film at all. It's just people just doing things, right? And yeah, and there's even a scene where I don't understand. This is totally apropos of nothing as far as like maybe either of you, some of one I'm getting excited. One of you maybe can clue me in as to what was happening here. There's a scene where the home invader, Danger, gets up on a rickety step ladder that's almost about to fall over to snog a portrait on the wall.
And finger bang it. It's the best scene in the film, Clive.
Yeah, but
That's
what is it? Well, why does he do that?
I
What's
don't know, but
to
it's
do with anything?
brilliant. It's brilliant. It's the only real. I think
Okay.
in my notes it says like this.
Just to bring everyone back down to earth now, don't listen to Nick. It's not brilliant,
No,
but
no,
it is odd.
it's the best thing in this film by a long shot.
Yeah, but that's that's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
really.
I agree.
Well, this is
You,
always
you,
clips from Anthropophagus, isn't it? On the third
yes,
TV. Yeah.
Yes, because that's what
he
you do
watches.
when you're a beautiful, wealthy woman in lingerie. You sit on your couch and watch George Eastman eat people.
Yeah, to be fair, she's all right as well as Shinji Rockefeller
Oh
too.
yeah,
Might have to
yeah.
watch that PO Box Tinto Brass.
Sure, I already have seen that. I went through a yes. I remember Fallow. I remember liking Fallow a lot.
Yes, yeah. So, um, yes, and then well, just in case anyone is going to watch it, twists happen,
Oh, multiple
right?
twists.
Yeah,
No.
multiple twists.
Mhm.
Yeah, nothing is as it seems.
No.
Even the snooker playing is wrong.
It's a it's I mean it's a little bit like the whole well, I did wonder, like there are a few stabs in this one, I think, at style. Like mostly the stuff that's shot outside in the desert. There's like occasional moments of like you could feel that Joe is maybe trying. And I think there's a little bit of an element of a kind of a noir-y Jim Thompson-y meets Giallo-y kind of like those hitchhikey kind of Giallos where they have or rabid dogs where there's like the surprise ending where you know but I mean it's not good. It's just none of it works, but
No,
you can kind of see what he's poking at, and he's poking at some stuff that if it had worked might have been quite good, but it didn't, so it's not.
no. It's not. Ultimately, it's not very good. Although like you said, it's kind of different, I suppose. It's
I feel like he's trying slightly harder than in some of the other
yeah.
ones that are surrounding this.
Also in the cast is Chuck Martinez, who directed, if you remember that film from the mid-80s, Nice Girls Don't Explode. He's in this. So there.
Okay, that's something.
Yes. Um, Top Girl.
I fucking hated this movie.
Let's have a look.
This is,
Oh,
this is
yes. This was
this is
pretty
really the
poor.
first time I can say I absolutely could not find any redeeming qualities in this at all. Joe truly let me down in every possible way here.
Yes, I think I wrote, actually. Here we go. Yes, I will defend many of D'Amato's cinematic outrages from his critics, but this late period erotic drama is pretty inane with some truly horrible music. Brackets, it even looks flat, despite being shot by the great DP under his pseudonym Fred Slonisko.
Hmm.
But it has the most uninteresting premise I think we've ever got from Joe. I mean, guy searching for a replacement on a soap opera or something like that.
The Voice of the Heart, I believe, is the name of the soap opera.
I suppose
Yes.
the only interesting thing about it is like it kind of confirms a lot of suspicions there that a lot of it seem to be into like soap operas at the time, and and I think you see that a lot of the dialogue in a lot of the film mirage. Think of that stuff like Trump too. It all feels like someone's going to learn English by watching American soap operas. And so like he made a film with like a soap opera theme. I think I thought kind of confirms he must be big into his US soaps.
Yeah, it's like Days of Our Lives or As the World Turns or one of those shows that I don't think I've ever seen any of those shows, but they seem to have been running for like 30 years or something,
Oh yeah.
right? Uh, they have their own like ecosystem of stars and stuff that unless you watch the show, you've never heard of them, right? And these are the people making it apparently. So you got Robert Madison, son of Guy Madison, the
Yeah.
Western star.
Yep. Yep. And he
Um,
plays a complete douchebag.
he's a
Uh,
bit, he's a little bit, fuck, what's his name? From Vice Squad. Um, not Vice. Is it Vice? Yeah, yeah. What? What's it going?
Hauser.
Huh?
Lee Hauser.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Yes.
he's a bit Wings Hauser, isn't he?
Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
But Wings Hauser, like Wings Hauser crossed with a Filofax or something super 80s. Hang on. Yes.
Is Wingshauser in Clive's apartment? Is there
Hit the
just
door.
I have
Sorry,
no idea. Yep, yep.
trouble with opening the door.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, which Nick used to have trouble with opening my door as well, I remember.
I did.
Yeah. Um, you did, because I always used to think you were a retard.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yes. We don't use that word anymore, Clive. I don't
Oh,
know
sorry,
that.
sorry. I do apologize. I thought you were a
Yeah.
right old mong. So anyway,
Yeah.
um, Top Gun, we were talking about. Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so they it seems as if yeah, so this character and he's humble as well, isn't he? He says at the beginning, I am a mass media expert.
Hmm.
Because we know this because he sits around watching old black and white footage or random pictures of people in the savannah or something. Like it's a
Yep.
so he's a mass media expert and yeah, so they've lost their leading lady or something on the Voice of the Heart,
She
right?
got pregnant apparently and
Yes.
was turfed off the show. So rather
So
than like hire an actress,
yeah.
they invent an early AI.
Yeah, I was thinking this is very ahead of the curve in some ways.
Yeah, to basically to find one by plugging all of this data in about what viewers are going to want, and then it
Right.
spits out like a one of those like dot matrix printer pictures of what this woman's going to look like, and it turns out that
So this is
they.
Carlo Solaro, who, yes, of course, was in some Tinto Brass films,
Hmm.
and also the star of Bruno Mattei's Snuff Killer,
Ah,
um, which we'll be getting to, I suppose.
I guess so. Yes.
Sure.
And yes, and she turns out to be someone who's married to some dick of a guy who
Hmm.
just doesn't want, he just wants a stay-at-home kind of wife to cook his food and watch the game. There's that scene where they're like watching some sports or something on the TV, right? And she's bored shitless and he's just like, yeah, oh, look at that, honey. Or yeah, it's I guess this is D'Amato's idea of uh, a typical American
Yeah.
kind of marriage or something, Midwestern kind
Isn't
of.
that the same guy who was the kidnapper in the Hyena?
Yes, it was. Well
Yeah,
spotted.
with
Yes.
a
Oh,
different
okay.
voice.
Um, yeah, and like I said, there's some really, really, really horrible music. But yeah, so they find her and then she goes to work and Robert Madison falls for her and gets a dose of his own medicine because he's a bit of a playboy who's fucking around. And then he
Yep.
gets scolded by the the guy who runs the station, oh, he's above him anyway, who's played by Claudio Bergamin, who is a porn star.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
credited here as Claudio Clean. Actually, Claudio Bergamin is in that recent film, which I've not seen. Fuck, what is it called? Is it called like Pleasure or something? It's that neon film about the porn industry, which is apparently quite good.
Okay.
He
Hmm.
popped up in that. Um,
It's funny, he's not I wouldn't have actually pegged him as he's not as wooden as the average porn actor is.
no, no,
I
but
wouldn't
he does
he
look.
does kind of look like I mean he's
Yeah,
got that
he's
kind of
got
like
that
that certain like
swagger.
barrel chested kind of like
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I agreed. But yeah, but his acting chops are not actually that bad.
Um, yeah, again, difficult to tell because this is
I
smothered
know
in
it's
that
obviously dubbed.
weird English dub, right?
Yes.
This is, yeah, particularly kind of, yeah, um, just like you said, people seem to be filling in the dubbing
Yeah.
room.
Yes. Yeah.
No, this is
It's
crap.
terrible.
Yeah,
It's really
Yeah.
bad. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's funny. Something that I learned from reading Ramsey Campbell's Three Stooges book recently is that apparently Agatha Christie wrote a novel at the height of her powers that she held back and didn't have published until after she basically said, like, I want this to be published after I die. So it's the last thing that has my name attached to it is me at my very best. And
right.
I kept thinking to myself, I wish to Christ poor Joe had held back something from about 1978 that was decent so that, these last two things aren't the last couple of things that go out with his name attached.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to it with the very last thing. I feel that maybe he was maybe trying to kind of go out on a bang,
Mhm.
but yeah, this is the yeah no this yeah it's I mean considering what we've watched thus far, it says really says something that this is just yeah
It
I
really is,
mean
really is quite bland as well. It's almost like shot like a soap opera as well. It's
yeah
the
yeah
same repetitious sort of exterior shots and
if
yeah.
you were being really generous, you could say that Joe D'Amato was subverting the form from within. Um,
Sure.
but you'd be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think it's fascinating that this guy, right? This poor apparently there's a scene I didn't catch this, but somebody else who reviewed it says there's a scene where they pass by the Guy Madison star on the Walk of Fame and kind of the camera pauses on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
No, I didn't notice
yeah,
that either.
yeah. I
Uh,
think
it's kind of depressing for him. I would think, like, for God's sake, keep me out of this shit, son. Um, but then, but no, like so Robert Madison's character, he uses this computer program, hires this complete unknown. She has no acting experience whatsoever, and then stakes his entire career on her success, and then gives her no help of any kind other than to just berate her when she's not doing very well. She's like, "Oh, you fucking suck. You're the worst." I'm like, "Oh, well, what the fuck, dude? Like, what were you
Well, you're
expecting?"
forgetting that he gives her the pleasure of making love to him because he's
Oh,
smooth.
okay, and should make her a better actress, I guess.
Well,
Yes.
the thing about her acting as well is that's odd because there's a scene where she gives a reading right in front of the crew,
Yes.
the assembled crew, and we're supposed to like as she's doing it, everyone seems to, oh, oh, they're like,
Mhm.
wow, oh, wow, she's awesome. But the thing is, it's delivered exactly the dub is exactly the same flat as
Yeah.
everything else. So we're watching it thinking, huh? They're all like really amazed at her doing this really shit performance. But then,
Hmm.
confusingly, after that one scene, apparently she goes back to being rubbish again and no one likes her. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure if she's actually supposed to be any good or not. I was very confused. But she certainly doesn't have any experience.
No. No. This one worked for me on no levels because I also
Didn't
wasn't
fancy
particularly
anyone in it.
I didn't fancy anyone either. So there was nothing for me to grab a hold of in this. Um, so yeah, no. The rare, absolute, and complete
Yes.
failure.
I was wishing for someone to be randomly poked with bright yellow dildos. Anything.
Yeah, please. Something. Or someone
Someone get up on a step ladder and
that
lick your
molest the painting.
portrait. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, this
Oh,
is pretty terrible. Let's have some sexy pirates.
yes. Or what's the actual title of this? Because that's the late English title, right? It's the Predators of the Antilles or something like that,
Yeah,
or
or Tortuga, apparently, in some territories.
right.
Um,
I, yeah, I Predatori delle Antille.
yeah, so I feel as if this winner from 1998. I mean, yeah, so this is ultimately turns out to be quite boring and rubbish as well. But at least this strikes me as Joe trying to do like I will make a historical epic swashbuckler like they did back in the day, right? And to be fair, I mean they get halfway there because so it seems it was shot in Budapest, right?
Yes.
Which is, I guess, maybe how you can hire proper like old fucking galleons
Mm-hmm.
to shoot on, which is,
I believe supposedly they also he did have one built like at least like the interior one built
yes,
for
but you can
that type
tell
of
the
horror.
exteriors there; those are real old, and
Oh, yes.
I would imagine it. Those are. I mean, maybe in Budapest, if you pay someone enough in the late 90s, you could take a few out on the sea and run about on them and shoot stuff. But I would imagine in general, those things are like protected historical artifacts.
Right.
You're not allowed to film on, right? And then also edited in footage from some much older film, right?
At least one or maybe
Yes,
two
yes.
different old pirate films from
On
the 60s,
totally
it looks like to
different
me.
film stock
Filmed.
as well. Yeah,
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
this is
And
shot on.
very little attempt made to match costumes as well in those scenes. When you're watching them cut from one group of people in
Yeah.
red suits to, yeah.
But I have to at least admire the chutzpah of trying to pull it off, right? That seems very Joe D'Amato to me. So I'm glad he did go out at least on a note of somewhat taking the piss, right?
I would like to actually see the couple of hardcore films he made on the same theme at the same time because my understanding is he
Yes.
uses the same sets
Well,
and
this
costumes and
makes
props, right?
sense because while watching this, the setup, yeah. So basically, someone gets kidnapped in Tortuga. I'm guessing it's the 18th century, and then the milady wife character hires a pirate and some women to seduce to
So
go out
is
and
Pirates
rescue him.
is Johnny Depp's Pirates of the Caribbean a remake of this then? Because
I
is
think
that not
so. Yeah, I
basically
think
the same story with Orlando Bloom
pretty much.
and
I believe
Ivy?
Johnny Depp went into the offices of whoever and he was like, hello, everyone. And they were like, Johnny, what are you talking like that for? Shut the fuck up. Anyway, I saw this film last night when I was in my cups. It's called Sexy Pirates, and we're going to do it.
Sounds about right.
Yes. So, yeah. And, yeah, so there's all these seduction and whatever. So it made sense to me, like, oh, there must be a hardcore version of this, but there wasn't, right? Not a version
Yeah.
of this.
Even though Anita Rinaldi, who plays Lady Elena Hamilton,
Yes.
is a porn star,
Yes.
does she ever appear naked in this? Or maybe
No, she was a Hungarian penthouse pet of the year as well. Yeah, no,
Why was this film made though? That's what I can't think of anything like in the late 1990s where there was any sort of big screen like revival of like pirates, swashbuckling type films.
Cutthroat
I think
Island.
Yeah, Cutthroat, which was a massive failure and brought down an entire company, and then what? Hook would be the other one, which is also I think tanked, right?
Yeah, that was a little
Cutthroat Island was the only thing I could think of really, and
yeah,
it's actually box office bomb. So why would you want to emulate that?
I think the thing is with these, because it's easy to forget nowadays when things are so fast moving, back in the 90s, things were still slow enough that if something was in production and there was a rumor of it getting made, then people could jump. So it makes sense because they
Yeah,
didn't know Cutthroat Island was going to flop, right? So they must have assumed, oh, they're making this big pirates are going to be, and they tried to get ahead of the curve.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Italians did, and then it didn't really work, unfortunately. Um, but I've never actually seen Cutthroat Island. I
Me
don't.
neither, actually. But
No,
it effectively ended Gina Davis and Matthew
Yeah,
Modine's career for quite some time.
yeah. It's funny. It's one of those things I haven't films I've no desire to have ever watched. But now, having watched Sexy Pirates, I might watch it just to see if there's any other elements they've copied. Like, is the story of Cutthroat Island as Gina Davis a wife of a admiral who gets a pirate? Because we haven't seen it, right? So
Nope,
it
nope,
might
no idea.
be an exact rip-off of Cutthroat. I don't know. I've never seen it, but
I did like the fact that he had the balls to restage a scene from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Um, that was shocking to me. The whole what's his name? The Ugly.
Eli Wallach.
Yeah, Eli Wallach. Yeah. He basically restages the whole thing with the horse and the rope, and they have the deal where this guy's gonna take the reward money.
Our Cutthroat Island was earlier than
That's what I was thinking. Isn't it more
it's
like early
95, yeah.
95? Yeah.
And the story does Morgan Adams and her slave William Shaw are on a quest to recover the three portions of a treasure map. So yeah, no, it's got fuck
Oh.
all to do with that. So there we go. That theory that we talked about for ages, rubbish. Check it out. Uh,
Um,
yeah. See, that's why you should never look things up.
yeah, yeah.
The truth is always disappointing.
hmm Um,
Yeah, no, so yeah, so I'm interested to hear you say that there was some filth filmed at the same time on because that makes sense because it seems as if there should have been
I'm pretty sure he made two or three pirate-based porns around the same time as he makes this. So this is yeah,
mhm.
which is a way of making sure that you get your money back, I guess, right? Because those would have been money earners.
I would imagine,
Whereas I
yes.
have a hard time imagining that this was just because like it's a Joe D'Amato movie this late in his career that isn't a sex movie. Every time people are apparently about to have sex, the camera cuts away, which is it's
Yeah.
I mean it's
Which
impressive
is
in a
why
way.
I don't always assume that there was a triple X version of this, and I convinced up until then because I even like have vague, obviously false memories of this floating around in the early 2000s online, and I never watched it, but I remember having a memory of oh yeah, there's a XXS version and there's a regular version. Like I actually remember that, well, think I remember that,
Right.
but apparently no. Um, any idea what the names of the porn?
I'm trying to figure this out
Ah,
right now.
okay. I'm sure
Yeah,
it'll come back to us when we watch them.
yeah, I Predatori della Virginita Perduta. A man gets kidnapped by pirates, and his loving daughter gives her virginity to a pirate to go save him. It's the same movie. It sounds like
Okay. Is
the
Anita
same.
Rinaldi in it?
No, funnily enough, not.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
so that's why I might have got confused about that then.
but it's a daughter, not wife in this case, I
But
guess.
anyway, it doesn't. It's fine because we're watching all those as well,
Yes, yes, we are.
which will probably make us long for the days of sexy pirates and Top Girl, right? Uh,
hmm
Although, yeah, I don't know. I mean, at least some of Tomato, we'll get there, but at least some of Tomato's porn was, I mean, again, it's a subjective thing,
I'm sorry, but
is quite sexy, right? So,
1998, as Aventuras Sexuales de Ulysses, The Sexual Adventures of Ulysses,
oh,
director Joe D'Amato, writer Homer, according to the
oh, yeah,
IMDb.
well, yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm quite looking forward to seeing that then.
Again, have you not read the uncut version?
Apparently, I did not read the Uncut Odyssey, no. With Erica Bella as Circe,
And Manuel is jacking off in the cabin boys' cabin. Yeah.
with Mike Foster as Zeus and Frank Gunn as Ulysses. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Um, Anyway,
coming soon to a screen near you because yeah, we've actually done it, lads. Let's
Keith,
congratulate ourselves. We have actually finally watched all of Joe D'Amato's non-pornographic and actually quite a few of his pornographic films
yeah,
along the
it turns
way.
out. Um, I wonder how it would have been if we'd started here and gone backwards. If instead of starting at the beginning of his filmography, if we had worked
Right.
direction.
Next year, we're doing it all again in reverse order.
Oh,
How do you feel now that you've it's like the post-match interview, right? Yeah, I think it went well. Yeah, tired, but
around the world.
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's that scene in Trainspotting, right? Where Sick Boy is who or is it Sick Boy who has the theory that basically like everything just gets worse, and he uses um Sean Connery as the example of like how you start out good and then eventually you're just shit, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, and I always kind of, I do it comes back to me when I look at a director's entire like you always end up in that page you're like oh shit yeah we've reached the point where they're
I don't
past their
know. I must say I found negotiating D'Amato a little. I thought it would be up and then straight down. It was a very neat Mount Fuji,
okay yeah
but actually it was a bit more of an up and down
bumpy
kind of
yeah
route. Yeah, I have to admit it went down a little easier than I thought. I don't feel overly scarred from the experience. How about you two lads? How has the last year and a bit been? Has it gone surprisingly?
Well, I think I've covered a few gems, maybe a lot more than I thought.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know if I'd recommend anyone try to do this themselves, and whether you need to watch everything. You have a
Yeah,
different.
no, this isn't for the faint of heart or, we are professionals. We've trained. Um,
Hmm.
we went to the gym a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
Iron Man challenge of watching it every month.
yeah, exactly. We are the what was his name? Jeff Capes of D'Amato watching, right?
um Yeah, I do. It's funny. I do remember the number of times when I would read a review on IMDb that would say, "Ooh, for the Joe D'Amato completist only," and every time I read
Yeah.
it, it gave me a
When
certain
they would saying, "This is super good D'Amato hot film. You should watch it right now with
exactly,
your wife."
exactly. But yeah, it's funny. I will say that this last set was the first time where I really felt I had to pace myself. I couldn't just do them back. There was a couple of episodes ago. There was one where I started to get the cinematic whatever that thing is you called it years ago.
Celluloid poisoning.
Celluloid poisoning, yeah, where I had watched too many tomatoes back to back to back, and they were not particularly good tomatoes. But I was laughing to Jen when I was going through this set because I was
Your
pacing them.
wife.
My wife, yes, and I said, yeah, it's probably not a good thing when I'm looking forward to watching the Godfrey Ho films that I also need to watch for something else I'm doing with Clive, and like, oh fuck that, at least that tomorrow's done. I can go back to watching that really enjoyable Godfrey Ho movie, like, um, because then at least you got dialogue in those Godfrey Ho movies, like, bullshit. She never mentioned anything about vampires or being the head of a organized crime organization.
I
Um,
can't remember. Have you watched Vampire Raiders?
yes.
Is that the one that has my all-time favorite and all? Is that the one where there's a girl and she's floating in a pool on like a on like and someone shoots it and she falls into the pool and then she's talking about it later and she's like, someone shot the floaty thing with the arrow and I fell into the water. Is that something like that? That's just
Yes.
fucking amazing. That's like Kubrick on your bike. This is this is
Cinema.
fucking cinematic.
Cinema.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's that. Every time I hear that, that just wow, that's just fucking extraordinary that someone thought they could get away with
Yeah,
That's
the
sexy
dubbing.
pirates level chutzpah right there.
Yes,
Um,
yes. Anyway, but yeah, no,
but
I
yeah,
mean,
so yeah, yeah,
overall, and we'll come back to this because we have one more show to do,
we
and we
do.
talked way back at the beginning of all of this. We talked about how we would bring a list, like a top five, or whatever it was, when we're done it all, right? So I think we should do that. I think we should go back through the filmography and think about.
Watch everyone again.
Yeah, oh, yeah, exactly. Read through your notes. But no, and just kind of because definitely there were a few things along the way that surprised me, things I hadn't seen before,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
I enjoyed quite a bit.
Or maybe like a list of your most surprising gems that you weren't expecting,
Yeah,
or for instance, for me, um, not I know it wasn't for Gav, but for both me and you,
yeah.
kind of
The mea culpa of
rediscovering Anthropophagus was
yes.
was a thing.
Hmm.
No, there was, yeah, we'll talk about, yeah. So like we said, we'll do one more show. There'll be a bit of a gap because, we do actually value our own sanity and we do
Hmm.
have a certain amount of self-respect. So we're
Hmm.
gonna have a bit of a month or two, maybe even three, but we'll have a gap and we'll go away and we'll watch all the filth, or as much of it as we can, and a couple of docs and think about things. So we shall return for one
Hmm.
last hurrah to talk about Joe. And but no, this is I think the other takeaway I get from it as well is Joe. I mean, obviously, yes, we don't oversell it. In some ways, he is the Uber hack
Hmm.
that people always say is. But at the same time, I did discover that whereas maybe he doesn't quite have the strong personal stench of a Jean Roland or Jess Franco or something
Hmm.
like that. There is some of that. He's not just a total, there is a D'Amato touch, right?
Hmm.
There is a D'Amato magic that crops up here and there. So it was, and he is a lot more competent than I think people gave him credit for, and
Yes.
sometimes inspired. And there was definitely some films in this bunch that I'm were like, oh man, this is actually this is kind of interesting and quite good, and probably something I never would have watched unless I forced myself to watch the entire.
Small. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was definitely a worthwhile project, I think.
And I will still say, I think that Emmanuel in America may be one of the most reckless pieces of filmmaking
Yeah,
anyone has ever attempted. It's
right.
truly
Yeah.
like,
It's I think it's kind of a bit of a it's not it's slightly different and it's not but it is worth thinking of it as a companion piece to Cannibal Holocaust in a way,
yes.
not just the kind of,
Yep.
it's got that level of like I don't know, a peak of some sort of, yeah, like you said, reckless, post everything,
Mm.
cynical cinema.
Absolute
Yeah,
nihilism.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I think you could also see these like later films, those kind of make you appreciate the earlier ones a lot more.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah. But again, I mean, there were the odd ones that popped up that we were like kind of I mean, there weren't that many total Top Girl just
No.
there was fewer of those than I thought. There was
Hmm.
like something like a good example would be China and Sex. Like
Hmm.
not great, but no, no, I didn't quite expect it to go there.
Hmm.
And again, I probably never would have given that the time of day. So, that was kind of, even though it was a slow, because that's the thing as well, was there was a lot more slow burn stuff than I expected, like stuff that took its time. And whereas he didn't always necessarily calibrate it rightly. I didn't think of D'Amato as a maker of those kind of more slow-paced, atmospheric film. But
Hmm.
it turns out, especially in the second half of his career, he made quite a lot of those, right? And
Hmm.
they're not accident. They're not like, I mean, some of them are boring, but they're not boring. They're paced, right? Which is kind of a different thing. Um,
Hmm.
So yeah, no, it is definitely a treasure trove worth. And you, the lucky viewer, now have a handy roadmap
Hmm.
in the form of the D'Amato files. So anytime you want to access it, it's up here on YouTube. Look at the what films are in each one, and if you're interested, I'm not putting timestamps. That's too easy.
Nope.
Force you to watch the whole fucking thing. Get us some views.
Hmm.
Anyway,
All right.
so until the very last fling,
Hmm.
yeah, that's been D'Amato Files straight version episode 12.
Hmm.
All right. See you in a couple of months then, lads.
Yeah, we got a
Okay.
lot of Rocco Siffredi's ball sack to deal with.